everyone, it's Evelyn, and we are having an intense storm today. It's really windy, and it's one of the few days that I won't put the flower wagon out. Rain, sun, no problem, flower wagon. Wind like we're getting? Absolutely not, because it's just like intense. So it's the kind of thing where you have to hold your hat on, and if the wind's in your eyes, it's making them water. It's really, really ugly. I'm surprised our power hasn't gone off. But anyway, before we go down to the seed room and look at the dahlias and go over how I pinch them and all the rest of the seedlings in there, I want to go over the seeds that I'm starting for the month of April. So we're starting off in my office. First up, I start cosmos in April, specifically the double click variety. And I start them in April, towards the end of April, because I generally don't use the flowers until late September. Prior to that, I just use the foliage, so I don't need to have any blooms on them before that. So they're like one of the last things I need to start in the seed room, and right now the seed room is so full there isn't room for anything else. Something new that I'm starting this year, and that's thanks to Phaedra from Phaedra Gardeness. I'll put her name up on the screen here for her YouTube channel. She's in Australia, so they're like kind of opposite time of year to us. So while we're just entering spring, they're just entering fall. I believe they're just entering fall. And what she did that I thought was really, really cool, she grows Jacoby little pumpkins, which are the orange ones, and Baby Boo, which I couldn't find seeds for. They are available through West Coast Seeds, but not right now. It says coming soon. And she puts them on sticks and puts them into bouquets. So she picks them when they're really quite small. I mean, they're small anyway, but when they're really small, she puts them into her bouquets. And I thought, what a cool idea for October. So I'm going to try that out. So I did get the seeds for Jacoby Little, so I'll be starting those soon. And if I can find any Baby Boo seeds locally, I tried our garden center, they didn't have them. I'll have to just check around. I might just stick with the Jacoby Little ones just as a trial this year, and then make sure if I like it that I have more for next year. The next flowers that I'm starting in April, I've actually been growing now since when? Mid-March? Yeah, that's right. So I just started my third weekly succession of sunflowers, and that would be the Pro Cut Orange DMR, the Pro Cut Gold Light DMR. DMR stands for Downy Mildew Resistant. Pro Cut White Knight. And Pro Cut White Light. Now that's it for flowers that I'm doing in April. But I'm also doing a few more vegetables. As you've seen in my previous cut flower garden room tour, I've got tomatoes on the go. Have I got any other vegetables on the go? Yeah, lettuce. I've got lettuce planted already outside in the garden. And the other two things that I won't do without is zucchini. These are really old seeds. I can't remember how many years ago I bought these. They're Mackenzie. I haven't bought Mackenzie seeds in years. There's 8 left in here. I will start them all and hopefully get a few out of them. And if I don't, then I'll have to just go buy some seeds. And Market More 76 cucumbers, which I really, really like. So those are all the seeds that I'm going to be trying out, or not trying out, growing in the seed room for April. Now let's head down to the seed room and see what I got going on down there. Before we go into the seed room, what I've got hardened off but not planted out yet is my Pauline ranunculus that I got about mid-March. My Bonbon ranunculus that I also got mid-March. And yeah, just those two. I got a couple of the Amandine Yellow out here just because they filled up this tray. And I've only got space for 4 on this table out of the rain and the wind. So that'll be what gets planted next. Okay, back to the seed room, or into the seed room. Now, as you can see, my seed room is overflowing with plants. And one of the biggest issues I have been putting it outside on nice days, but I can't get down the walkway here because I've got my gladiolas in here. I'm just going to, got it on a little wheeler. I'm going to wheel it out of my way, put it closer to the door, so that we can talk about what's in the seed room. Now you recognize this? This is that container that I found washed up on the beach. It makes the perfect bottom tray for this crate of gladiolas, which I planted in succession. Each row has 6 bulbs in it, and each row was done one day after the other. And the way I did it so that the soil wouldn't collapse down into the areas where the bulbs weren't, because I didn't push them down in, I just used a board to held up, just a scrap piece of plywood, filled up the soil after I put the corms in, and then the next day I moved the board over what would be one row and did the same thing. I just love the coloring on these glads. You don't really see it well in the lighting here. I'll just put a picture up on the screen of what that looks like. But let's go back to the seed room now. Like my fancy pants. I'm dressed like a hippie today. So I've got all my dahlias. You can see they're clearly ready to get planted, but I'm not planting them. Most of them are. Some of them are still a little bit smaller. But they're not getting planted out until May 1st. But what I do while they're in here is I pinch them. Now, as you can see here, this one's been pinched there, and because it's been pinched there, it has now sent out 2 side shoots. It's also a way for me to control the height of the dahlias, keeping them down. What's really interesting about this, oh, and I pinch the bottom of the dahlias. I take all the leaves off up to about the 6-inch level from the bottom of the container, because the bottom of the container will get planted 6 inches deep in the ground. I use a 1 gallon like nursery pot, dig a hole, and I make sure that the top of it's level with the soil. So that's how I know I have a 6-inch deep hole, because those 1 gallon pots are 6 inches deep. And then this whole thing will get set into the bottom of it, unless the container, of course. And the soil will come up to about here, which means that when they're planted out, they're already growing above the soil surface, which is just perfect. Now, because I pinched the leaves off, hang on, I just dropped something. Okay, so what I was saying is because I pinched the leaves off up to that 6-inch level, once you pinch the top off, not only do you start to get side shoots there, but where you pulled the leaves off, or pinched them off, you get side shoots there as well. So you end up with a bushier plant because of that. And I think that's really, really cool. See, here's another one on this one. You can just see the beginning of a little shoot right there, right where my finger is. So let's see if I can find one that's ready to pinch, because a lot of the ones up here are pinched. And this one is not. So let's just take this over to here. Put it down on the table. So 6 inches will take me to just above where that bottom set of leaves is. And it'll still grow a bit in height. So I'm actually going to just use my finger and literally take that off. And that's pinched now. That's as easy as that. And if the ones that I've pinched are still getting too tall, and I find one here that I can show an example of that. Well, here's another one that needs pinching, so I'll just take that off. See, I just took that off. But if any of them are starting to get too tall and they've already been pinched, I'll just pinch the pinchings. And I don't have any that are at that stage yet, because I've just been doing the first pinch. But clearly, May 1st is still quite a ways away. So some of these may end up being too tall. And then the secondary shoots that are growing, I can literally, and I'll just do it on this one because I can. I'll just take that center growth out of here and pinch it again. And that will make on both sides. And that'll make this one even more bushier. And that's how you can control the height of your dahlias in your seed room until you get ready to put them out. Oh, look at this nice bottom shoot that's coming up off of this one here. Look how big that is. Cool. Anyway, so that's how I pinch my dahlias. And this whole side has dahlias in it, except for down at the bottom. I have 2 more trays of ranunculus, which will go out to be completely hardened off. They're almost hardened off now. I just didn't want to put them out in the storm. I've got, what's that? Sulfide anemone in there. I've got more sulfide here. I've got Bordeaux here. That's another anemone. And here is the rest of my gladiolas in this pot. As you can see, they're just starting to come out. That's when they come out just a little bit of red. I got all my 80 glads in that pot and that pot, except for one, which I just planted directly into the garden. So then on this side, this is just the sunflowers that I planted yesterday. Clearly they haven't sprouted yet. I do soak the seeds for 24 hours. Here I've got my purple wave petunias. Here's my coleus. The petunias and the coleus grow pretty slow. So this is what I only had a package of 10 seeds of coleus. So here's 6 and there's 4. This is just a couple more petunias. So that's how big they're getting now. Very, very slow growth. These ones are a little smaller because they came out of this, like I had 4 spots doubled up. So I had to pull up 4 and put them over here. So that's why they're a little smaller. Here's my petunia whites over here. Up here are my sunflower seedlings that I started 1 week ago. The ones that I started, the first ones that I started, no, 2. The week before that and the week before that, they're all planted already outside. Up here I have more dahlias. Now these are the dahlias that I ordered for, that I wanted to try out some other varieties and that arrived mid-March. So this is how much they've grown in the last couple of weeks or so. What day is today? It's in April already. I don't know. I'll put it up on the screen. So they're about 3 weeks old. And as you can see, what I do here is I'll just keep pinching off these. Oops. Yeah, can you see what I'm doing? I can just keep pinching off these bottom leaves. Here's a good one. Until they get to the 6-inch height. But I only do it once they've got a decent amount of second leaves on them. And then what happens is as that grows a little bit taller, I'll give it at least 24 hours because I just pinched that. But as this grows a little bit taller, I'll fill the container up to the surface. Here's some even smaller ones. Up here's some more dahlias. If I come over here, here is my tomatoes. Now I started off the tomatoes in a little 6-pack like this. 2 of them because I did... or did I double up the tomatoes in one thing? I think I doubled up the seeds in each. So I had a 6-pack with 12 tomatoes. And when they got bigger, I potted them up into a cut back yogurt container that I drilled holes in. And then they grew a bit bigger. And I'll put a picture up on the screen so you can see all the roots in the thing. And I don't know what was in these pots. These were given to me. Now they're in these. You can see it's a little bit wider at the bottom and up the sides, and of course definitely taller, and that's what they look like now. Oops. And all 12 of them are here, and all 12 of them are looking great. Just pick that up where I dropped it. Just set that there. The shelf below it, again, I've got more dahlias. Here I've got my pansies. More dahlias. One shelf down. More dahlias. Again, some of the newer ones. You can see I'll just take that off. And that off. More dahlias over here. And underneath here, I have more anemones, but I've got ones that aren't seemingly doing much of anything. I think next time I've cut back on how much I watered these ones, because the first ones, anemones that I did this year, they really did a lot of rotting out. But these ones, if you look really closely, you can see I've got some rotting out in here too. They're just all moldy. And yet, even so, some of the moldy ones are starting to grow. Look at that one. So I think next year, because I'm not starting anymore this year, what I'm going to do is, instead of soaking them, like I soaked them, my ranunculus, for 5 hours, and then this batch I soaked the ranunculus for 4 hours and didn't water the soil at all. Next year I'll go back to soaking for next year I'll go to soaking for 3 hours on the anemones until I can find the right balance, because we have very clay soil, so it does hold a lot of water. So I think that's one of the reasons why the anemones tend to not do as well as the ranunculus. But we shall see. It's a bit of a costly trial and error thing, but that's life. Yeah, so that's a quick little tour of my seed room and everything that's going on in here. It's filled to the brim. I haven't got anywhere else under lights to put anything. In fact, that crate of gladiolas isn't even under lights, which is why I have been putting it outside during the day to harden off, so I can get some actual proper light on it. And we had some good days. Today's just a storm. It's not a day to put them outside. And I gave you a quick example of how I pinch my dahlias, but realistically, I mean, it doesn't need much more than a quick example. I mean, it literally is just the pinching it off when it's got at least 6 inches from the bottom of the pot to where I'm going to pinch it. And then, as you can see here, the one side shoot's just coming up and the other one's over here. And yeah, pretty easy to do. So there's nothing complicated about pinching dahlias. The only thing that's different about what I do is, because I start them so early in my seed room, excuse me, because I start them so early in my seed room, I've got them pinched out before they're planted. So that, again, is one of the reasons why they start blooming earlier than a lot of other people's will, because I've got all the pinching done. I've got the height so that when they're planted, they're already above ground. They've already been pinched. They're just ready to take off. So by getting all those steps done prior to the planting, I'm way ahead of the game. Now the dahlias, I usually start hardening off sometime after the middle of May. I take advantage of any really nice day, because I don't put them off to harden off necessarily in the rain, unless it's getting closer to the end of April, in which case I may just be leaving them out there at that point, waiting for May 1st, which is when I plant them. In theory, May 1st is when our chance of getting frost is gone. But if you follow the Weather Channel and there's no sign of frost for the prior week, I could actually probably start planting some of them before that. The rest of the stuff in the seed room, probably a lot of that will get planted out before May too, especially the ranunculus and the anemones. The tomatoes won't. The zooks and cukes that I haven't started yet won't. The sunflowers get planted out approximately 2 weeks after I start the seeds. So I'll do a planting on Saturday and I'll start seeds on Sunday. So I can just reuse the same pots over and over and over again. And yeah, so by the time May rolls around, this room will be looking very, very, very empty. At which point this turns into my vase display, because I've got them all in storage right now because I got nothing to make bouquets out of, so there's no point in selling the vases. And so that I know what I have and can grab easily. Once the seed room is empty, all the shelves get used for all the vases that I have that I can sell up at the flower wagon. Now, a lot of the seedlings that are in here were started in March or February. So if you want to see the progression of how much they've changed in, let's say, just the 1 month for the when I did the seed room tour at the beginning of March, you should check out this video over here. Thanks for watching. Bye.